Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
I didn't know what you were going to say.
Episode 3. Thank you. Thank you very much. For real, though, we've had a lot of people show support.
Definitely.
A lot of messages, a lot of people sharing different things,
Yeah, I checked the Anchor app, and kind of look at the analytics or whatever on it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty neat, pretty cool to see. To me, for this little old podcast thing we're doing, to have that many people looking at it and paying attention to it, and the views we get on YouTube and stuff, pretty neat. I mean, it's a lot of attention, I think, for guys that we're not famous for anything. I don't guess more notorious than famous, but it's pretty neat to have people kind of paying attention to what you're doing somewhat. Of course, it gets my wife gives her more ammunition to make fun of me and irritate me with it, but
How so?
just like picking on me like last week about the pictures I'm taking or things that I'm saying or,
Did she say anything when she saw the podcast and we talked about her?
Oh, no, she's
talking
not.
about you.
She doesn't worry about it on that level. You know what I'm saying? Her thing is more like me embarrassing myself. She's real good about bringing up my shortcomings and that kind of thing. It's a good time. But
so she didn't get mad at you for throwing her under the bus for telling you to not take any more social media.
No. She's
videos or pictures.
She's glad I'm taking, her advice. Just like this week, I posted something about episode 2 being up on Instagram, and I changed up my pose, and she's making comments about solid effort trying to change it up,
Baby steps.
And that's the kind of, you chimed in too. Yeah, it's kind of that's how she goes about it, But it's all that stuff. I can take that. It's no problem.
Right.
It's funny.
Yeah. Episode 3. I Don't Drink Coffee. The I Don't Drink Coffee podcast. Follow us on Instagram, and I'm going to create a Facebook page at some point, hopefully tomorrow, and start putting little snippets of some of the videos on.
Some of the didn't quite make it to the forefront footage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. There's some gems out there, I think, that fell to the cutting room floor.
They didn't make it in because, first of all, we had technical difficulties. Excuse me. And Trent had to come back the next day. And it was hard to tie everything in, which,
well, it
the
is
whole
what
name
it is.
Right. It is what it is. The whole name of the game is to, start from point A, and when we finish, put it all out there. There's, I don't really want to edit, I didn't want to edit things out and stuff, but in that case, we had to, and it was 4 hours long. I mean, it was 4 hours and 5 minutes. And people are like, man, I can't believe you're putting 3 hours. And I get it. I totally get it. And another thing, we've gotten some constructive criticism. And
hell, I'm in it, and I couldn't watch all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I love the criticism,
Definitely.
And so we've had some messages saying that, hey, try to cut them up in 2 segments or 3 segments or however long, about an hour long. Segment each. Well, I tried to do that, so I just wanted to say that I tried to do that for episode 2 with Trent, and
well, and I can appreciate any level of criticism. I mean, that's the way it's going to get better. I mean,
absolutely.
For people that care about it,
yeah,
especially if they care enough to say something about, hey, it would be more entertaining, or it would. It'd be better for your audience or whatever. I mean, that kind of thing, that's good stuff to me. I don't get mad about that at all. I'm
Not
glad
at all.
to hear that kind of stuff, I mean, versus them letting you sit there, it's kind of like when you got a booger in your nose and nobody tells you, you're like, really? Well, why didn't you tell me? Well, I didn't want to embarrass you. I'm like, really? Walking around with a booger in your nose for 2 hours is embarrassing, so give it to me, tell me what's up. So,
well, I just wanted to bring that up mainly because I did not cut the 3 hour long episode 2 into any segments at all. And I know that any criticism we get or receive, we're not going to make every change, But I did try to do that change for sure, and the software kept um, the Anchor software kept not letting me do it. So finally, I was just like,
Let's get it out
you're
there.
gonna get it for 3 hours."
And plus, you're getting pressure from me and everybody else. Like, where's it at? Where's the podcast
Yes,
at? When's it going to be
you
up?
would be surprised.
No, I mean, you should have my wife, dude. You know what I mean? I'm riding you because she's driving me crazy. But I mean, it kind of makes me want to rename it, like the South Park movie. Longer and uncut or whatever. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
That's a good idea. I'm down with changing the name.
But,
I'm
no,
okay with it.
I thought that one. No, that you gave it a really good title. I think that fit what was going on, because whenever you said "Don't tell that story," it was a very funny part of that episode. Definitely.
I laughed way too hard. I mean, I mean,
We had some-
I just don't like laughing, especially on here. I don't like talking. I don't like hearing my voice. I don't like you to hear my voice. But here we are, and you're hearing my voice right now if you're watching this or listening to it.
To me, that was one of the most entertaining parts of the entire episode. And I don't want to sit here and break the last episode down necessarily, but it was funny whenever we're all laughing, because you thought he was about to tell something that shouldn't be told, and we had that long, uninterrupted laughter thing going on.
It's definitely a story that needs to be told, but I need his approval. I need his approval first.
Yeah, I get it.
Got to make sure it's okay,
Yeah. Well, now that we got that kind of stuff out of the way, I guess we can move on to some things that are more relevant.
We can start with it's Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I hope everybody's having a pretty safe time of it, or had a pretty safe time by the time they see this will be over with. So,
Right.
I know plenty of alcoholic beverages are consumed and that kind of thing like that. So, I not to hog too much of the spotlight, but I had a pretty good Memorial Day. Went and ate at my parents' house, and my wife has a meat allergy, red meat allergy. So, it was this whole
More meat for you.
It was like it takes a little bit of a setup, because she's allergic to red meat, so you can't cook her meat with other stuff. You know what I mean? Like, okay, she can eat pork and she can eat chicken, but you can't cook it on the same grill. You know what I'm saying? So, because if you do, it'll splatter onto hers, and then she gets all the symptoms of this, because she has flu symptoms whenever she, yeah, dude, that's rough. Her meat allergy is for real. It is not a joke. And like, she carries an EpiPen because she had some throat swelling once. It's legit. I mean, like, you think, oh, red meat allergy. Oh, you hear about this all the time. It's kind of like a gluten thing, and it's not, dude. This is like, well, and I don't mean to make light of gluten intolerance either, but this is like, we have to watch it, So of course my mom starts out the day of, what time are you guys coming over here? And then we do that, and then I'm like, okay, but don't forget, Brandy can't eat red meat. She's like, oh, I know, I got her some pork chops, and we're gonna scrub the grill, and we're gonna put foil down, all that. And I was like, why don't you just cook them in the oven, and keep that way, because a little bit of experience on my side of it, because we've been dealing with it for a while. And my mom's like, well, it's not going to taste as good. I'm like, well, you guys overcook everything on the grill anyways. You know what I mean? So it's going to help keep the meat edible by putting it in the oven and not cooking it on the grill. My dad makes briquettes out of, the hamburger patties and that kind of thing. So, we save the taste of the pork chops by not letting Dad grill them, But it went good, though. I have to say, she didn't get no contamination or anything. Good. It's always a worry, because my family kind of sucks at. It's not that they don't care, but it's a function of, everybody can eat meat. I spent my entire life eating whatever meat we want, especially meat. So you throw that in there. Hey, can't eat red meat, and everybody's like, what? What do you mean? Surely we can cook it over here to the side. I'm like, no, you can't. Because we've tried that before. I mean, even if you handle meat, even cooked or raw, and then you handle her food, it will make her sick. You know what I'm saying? Like the proteins that come off on your hands, if you don't wash them, it'll make her sick.
Wow. So no steak.
No steak, no venison,
No hamburger?
no buffalo. Yeah, hell no. I mean, no beef. You know what I mean? No beef at all.
So is there like a medicine or something she can take that would
They were talking.
offset?
They, she heard once that there's a kid that's taking, I think in McAllister, that's taking CBD oil for it, and it seems to be helping. That was something that we heard. I don't know how real that is. You know, somebody was talking about it, but I mean, as far as something she can take, no, she just has to avoid it. You know what I mean? She has to eat chicken or pork, and she can't. I don't think she can eat lamb, stuff like that. I don't think she can eat that either.
Wow.
But you know, so anyway, it was a good day. You know, nobody got contaminated or, you know, we had a pretty good one. You know, cooked out and then you know, came back home and got ready to do the podcast and all that blah blah blah. So I know yours. I saw some social media. No, it wasn't. It was Snapchat. I saw of some.
I put it on Instagram story too.
Did
Facebook
you?
story, yeah.
I haven't got to look at it, so I'm kind of running behind today. But
Yeah, we had a huge cookout today.
it looked like a lot of food you
It
guys
was
had
a
over there.
lot of food.
You know what's weird, and I'm not trying to rip on you, but I just noticed.
Go ahead. I'm used to it.
Well, it's like everybody in your family, dude, is like thin, but you guys always have tons of food.
We eat.
Holy crap, dude. Well, you all work out and everything, so I get it. You
Well,
know?
I mean, I try, but
Well, I mean, you guys are, you know,
I had a lot of cake this weekend too.
yeah. Well, you're like, you guys are heavily connected to the CrossFit gym and all that, so, you know, I mean, it
I haven't
stands to reason.
I haven't
but-
done a workout in a CrossFit gym in a long time. Now I've done CrossFit workouts at home, and I plan on starting back in CrossFit.
Why are you working out at home versus the gym? What's the deal?
Well, I mean,
I know you're not that cheap, so it's got to be something else.
Well,
You probably don't have to pay to work out at the gym.
I
so
told you that. Oh man,
Are you
everybody
afraid-
else is wondering why haven't been CrossFitting, and here it is.
I'm ready.
For whatever reason, the last year, 2 years, when I work out, and I know we talked about this already. Gosh, I don't want to talk about it again.
We all know what's coming, but go ahead.
Right. I would get terrible headaches. I was even just working out with the 45-pound bar. I mean, I even went down to it and would just do like thrusters or whatever, you know, and do like a run workout and thrusters. And
Still get headaches from it.
I would be wrecked for 3 days. Like
Okay.
literally laying down on my floor trying to, you know, that gigantic bean bag that I keep in my living room?
Mhm.
I would put it on top of my head. Some kind of pressure or something just to, I mean, so anyways, I don't want to talk about that. I'm finally starting. I mean, I've gotten an MRI. I've seen chiropractors,
Medicine men.
yes, I call her my witch doctor in Tulsa, who does. It's not chiropractic, and I don't know exactly what it's called.
So
I hate to even give her a plug right now because I can't even tell you what she does, but she works wonders.
Okay.
I mean, she changed my life. No joke. She makes it. And so, anyways, that's why I haven't been working out. That's exactly why.
Well, so you're working out at home keeps you from having headaches too?
Well, I'm working out at home to slowly get back to see if I can start doing normal, you know, CrossFit workouts. So yeah, at home I'll do like hang cleans and then run, and you know, Kason will be working with me. So we'll throw in, you know, free throws in there, and he'll have to hit off the tee a little bit, you know, a few times, and then we start the next round. So it's actually, you know, really fun. And
That's cool. You guys are innovating a little bit. Yeah. Kind of putting
so
your own twist on
lately
it.
that's what we've been doing, and I say that's what we've been doing. I haven't worked out in a while, in a week or two, about a week.
Yeah, because when I came over to your house last week,
I was about to work out, and you showed up.
You started working out. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, you like just got sweaty, and
Yeah.
then here I am.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
That's when we did the intro video or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've worked out since then.
Not at all.
Maybe one time since then, but I'm going to start working out every single day. It's just been, you know, we've got baseball and.
Oh, definitely. That's I was talking to Brandy, my wife, about getting into some kind of workout. You know, I started doing that keto thing, and I think we've already talked about it maybe on here. I can't remember, but Did keto. I started 2 days after Christmas, and man, I lost like 30 pounds in a couple of months, like really quickly. But I kind of plateaued a little bit, and now I'm kind of like, even though I'm not sticking hard to keto, it's not nearly as hard as I should, but now that I've kind of adopted that way, I mean, I don't eat bread anymore than, like almost at all. And I'm cut out of most of my sugars and that kind of thing like that. I've kind of plateaued, I mean, I lost quite a bit of weight just by changing those few things, but I know I've got to put some kind of exercise in on this to go ahead and drop over the edge and start losing again. I've seen what
What it can do.
changing that type of eating does for my weight, so it can only take me so far. Now I know. Plus, the sheer amount of food that I eat is a big problem too, though. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
For real.
Well, let me tell you something. The amount of protein that I'm eating, that my body's turning it into glycogen and making me.
I eat more than you
keeping
think
me
I
fat.
do.
I've never seen you eat. You never eat. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know when you eat, or what you eat, but I'm sure you do something. You're always just getting done eating. You think about that. Like when I came over to your house the other night, dude, when you were editing episode 2, you had your plate was there.
Right.
You just got through eating a steak or something like that. It's always, it's like.
I went and put it in the sink.
Right. Well, but you're like a Yeti. You know what I mean? It's like you never see you actually eat. It's like this mysterious thing where you hear about it and you assume that it goes on, but I never see it actually happen.
Well, I didn't want you to come over and watch me eat.
Did you eat real fast when you knew I was coming over? You're like, oh, geez.
I think I sit in the living room and watched the game that night. I was watching the game, and then
I always come over.
No, I ate at the table. I
always ruin the finals for you, or whatever. I don't even know where the basketball's at right now. Is it the finals?
No,
I thought
it was the finals yet.
Okay, see, that's how much
we're there now. We're there now. Well, the first game is in a few days.
Well, my work's
game 1.
Ridiculous. This year everything is crazy at my work, so I'm not getting to pay attention a whole lot to sports. Thank God it's not football season. That's the main thing that I'd be really crying. I'd be like probably poor because I'd have already quit my job if it was football season. Like I can't keep missing these games, But and I like basketball too, but not as much as football, obviously, to watch. I'd rather play basketball than football if I had my rathers. But
you can come over and start working out with us, and we'll play a little basketball in the yard or in the driveway.
You could probably do that.
You'll probably never do it.
Let me tell you what I did. Okay, I went to my dad's and worked on my car yesterday. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if anybody's keeping up with any social media that on my end of this podcast, they know that I'm working on a 1971 Pontiac Le Mans. And when I went over there to work, I'm keeping stuff at my dad's. He's got a really nice shop, and all my tools and his tools are there. So I go over there and work on it, and he helps me a bunch and stuff. Oh God! And so I thought, well, whenever I go and check my phone every now and then. I have horrible service over there at my mom and dad's.
You have zero service, I think.
Yeah. Well, if I take my phone in there and connect to their Wi-Fi, I can get text messages and phone calls and things. So I'll go check it every now and then. I'll leave the shop and go over to their house. So I thought, just as a little try to get started, I thought, well, I'll jog back. I'll walk over there and check my phone, and then I'll jog back to the shop because this is a little ways. I mean, it's not far, but when I took off running the other night, my body, I think, was wondering what the hell I was doing because it felt so strange.
It did?
I was running and it felt like real robotic. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it's because I'm getting older or whatever, but I never felt this feeling like my joints were all like real stiff. And I've been up all day. I mean, I'm moving around and stuff, walking and stuff at work and everything. But when I took off running, my body was just like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? We don't move this fast. Why are you doing this? Like I forgot how to run. It was weird looking. Even the dogs, my mom and dad's outside dogs were like, what the hell is going on here? What is he doing? So I've got to get back to doing something with myself. I mean, it's obviously, and what little bit of weight I've lost. It was funny. we started doing this thing on one of those order your clothes off the internet type things, where you can get like a stylist, which I thought was cool. I'm trying to dress a little nicer, trying to up my game a little bit. Not, that kind of sounds bad. Not like my woman catching game or whatever you want to call it, but just like dress a little nicer or whatever. So uh, I'm fitting into clothes that for a little while I gotten so big. I was like big and tall guy, you know what I mean? You go to department stores and they have nothing that fits me. And so I started doing that and I started feeling a little bit better, and now I'm just like, okay, it's time to get out of the old double XLs. Let's get down to a normal body size, where I can wear regular clothes like everybody else instead of, nope, they don't have any triple XL, so I guess I can't, buy anything today. And I have to wear big moo t-shirts and, I don't know, suspenders. I don't have any suspenders. I don't know why I said that, but anyway,
Something tells me you do have suspenders somewhere.
I don't, man. I thought about it when I got my biggest. We were talking the other day, and Trent was saying that he got to 300 and something pounds, 320 pounds or something like that. 317 pounds is the biggest that I've ever gotten, and that was right at Christmas.
Oh gosh,
this last year. 317. Let me tell you what it's like to haul 317 pounds around.
Please tell.
It's miserable, is what it is. Okay, you can't tie your shoes. You can't put your shoes on hardly. You know what I mean? It's like you have to take these big breaths and like get ready and spread your legs real wide so your giant belly will fit between. You got to get like hyped up. You know what I mean? You got to get like slap yourself like you're about to do an arm wrestling match.
Quit making me laugh.
Just like,
stop making me laugh.
It's time to tie your shoes. You can do this, dude. Pow, pow. You know what I mean? And then you go for it, and then if you run out of breath, you got to stop, sit back for a minute and go again. Dude, it happened to me. You know what I mean? And you're like,
you would run out of breath trying to tie your shoe?
Yes, I'm not making that up. I get lightheaded. You know what I mean? You come back up from getting done tying your shoes and you're like this. Gee, not to mention probably my blood sugar is ridiculous or something. I don't even know, I mean, when you get that big, there's inflammation. Well, there was a lot of inflammation and stuff like that went along with it. I mean, that has kind of gone away since I quit eating bread and quit eating drinking so much sugar and all those kind of things like that. My feet and legs are a lot. I know I was just saying a minute ago I was robotic and hurting and all that, but I mean, I was aching like standing around. I mean, it was like that,
Man.
It was all those things you hear, where you see these things like on Oprah or something where they have the sad music where the people weigh like 600 pounds, and they were going, I just couldn't stop eating, and my life was terrible. Well, dude, that's for real. You know what I mean? Like I got big enough. Now I'm not saying I'm small and dainty now. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make that claim like, look how thin I've become. But I mean, I had gotten to a point where I was so big that I was starting to have some of these legit heavy things. You know what I mean? I mean, they're real. You don't think about it, but you
felt like crying and
no. I mean,
going on
I didn't
Oprah.
quite get to that point, but nobody wants to listen to that. You know what I mean? Nobody's
no.
I mean, not for a 41-year-old man.
No, I would have told you no.
Yeah. I mean, everybody been like, really? We'll get out and stop eating so much pizza.
Right.
Try taking a walk every now and then, that kind of thing. And I get it. And I know these things. It was just like, and you have to try. I mean, in my own experience, I can't speak for other people, but I mean, I naturally carry a lot of weight around anyway because of my frame. But to get that big, to get to 317 pounds, I tried. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean I like purpose it. Oh, I'm gonna get giant fat and can't tie my shoes. But you like whenever you're eating and you've eaten plenty, like you're like, oh God, how you get real full. Oh, geez, I've eaten so much. I'd be like, oh, that was so good. I'm gonna keep eating. And then I'm about to vomit at every meal. Really, it's kind of gross how I was doing it. Looking back now, I was eating constantly too. At my job, it can be sedentary. There's parts of my job that are, I work in the oil field, but it's a plant. I run a facility sometimes, so you do a lot of watching monitors and that kind of thing. You're standing, but you're just standing there, or maybe you're sitting in a chair and you're watching something. So there's sedentary parts of it, and I would be eating and standing or eating and sitting. You know what I'm saying? And we would like start up a new facility. Well, they would buy a bunch of stuff for people to eat because you have to stay 24 hours a day. So we would work these long shifts, and I would eat. You know, I'm like, oh God, I got smoked Vienna sausages. Yeah, you know, and what was something else? I ate cheese Pringles. You know, cheddar cheese Pringles, and I'd be like in heaven. You know what I mean? Instead of eating a can of them and a little short can of Pringles, I would eat like 3 cans of them and 2 cans of Pringles and drink in a 12-hour shift 6 to 8 Dr. Peppers or Coke or whatever you got, whatever fat stuff. I'm down. You know what I mean? And I would sit there and I'm doing nothing but sitting there looking at a monitor, eating
The whole time.
That's what I mean. You have to try, or I have to try. I can't say everybody, but for me to be that big, you know, that big, I put effort into it. You know what I mean? And it was just, it was more than lack of discipline. It was just like, and like I said, I wasn't me sitting there going, I want to get huge fat. It was more of just not putting any thought into what I was doing. You know what I mean? I was just eating because I like to eat. I love eating, obviously. You know what I mean? So it was like, I got nothing to do but sit here and watch this thing and push a button if I have to. So I'm going to keep eating while I'm doing it because it's awesome. You know, it's not awesome. It was not awesome at all. The shirts that I wore, they buy you like the fire retardant clothing. You know, they don't buy them. They rent them from UniFirst or whatever it is. The shirts that I got whenever I came to work there got to where they wouldn't fit. Like I couldn't, but and now, you know, now that I've went ahead and lost 30 pounds, I could wear a hoodie underneath those shirts. And when it was cold, when I first started, and they got so tight that I couldn't button them with nothing on. You know what I mean?
So you were about to have the conversation of, hey, I need to change the size of my uniforms.
Well, that's, you know, honestly, seriously, what you just said is what kind of
made
it made me do something different because I was like,
That's
I had
embarrassing.
gotten to that point. Well, I was like that guy. You know what I mean? That guy, whenever, and this is going to sound like body shaming, but, you know, whenever you walk around and you go, I feel sorry for that guy. He's struggling.
It's
you
not
know,
healthy.
Well, he's trying to get up on the bleachers and he's having to help
Yeah,
himself
that's not healthy.
and that kind of thing.
You know, it's not body shaming.
Well, you know, and
Anyways,
and
yes.
it's not that I'm better than someone either. It was just
Right.
like, it was this thing where, dude, it was causing me all kinds of problems. Cost a lot of money. You know, I was having back problems, you know, and I was starting to take like gabapentin and stuff like that for my lower back, you know, and that kind of stuff. I mean, I wasn't taking it like
Gabba what?
gabapentin.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I said that right. I assume so. Why'd you look at me like that? Like I said it wrong. I don't know.
You said it like I was supposed to know what it meant or what it is.
I really don't know. It's some, you know, they gave me a medication for back. I have like arthritis in my lower back, and every now and then it flares up. Well, when you weigh 317 pounds, she flares up a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I got all this force hanging off, you know, that's messing with my back.
The thought of you having to change your uniform size.
Yeah, it was something that I was just like, it was like a marker. You know, you go, I was wearing this in July, and now in December, I can't even button it. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh my God, dude, how did I do this?
It's not like your favorite shirt that you've put in the dryer a million times and it's, you know,
well, I
shrinks.
accused Brandy of shrinking my clothes. I was like, I think you're shrinking my shirts. She's like, no. You know? I mean, she was pretty straight up about it, you know. And you know how she is.
What'd she say?
Yeah.
She said no?
Yeah. Whenever I said, I think you're shrinking my shirt, she's like, I don't think so. And I was like, what do you mean? You know, I can't hardly put this shirt on. She's like, have you paid attention to yourself lately? You know? So, and then I got to thinking about jeans that I couldn't wear anymore and that kind of thing, you know, and it's just like, dude, you know, and like I said, I'd made that change and I was able, you know, of course, when you do something like that, everybody's like, you know, is that your New Year's resolution? Because I would be talking about keto. You know, I'd go out to eat. I wouldn't talk about keto, but you'd go out to eat with my job, and I'd be like, okay, well, I'll take, you know, this hamburger with no bun, you know, no fries, you know, and everybody's sitting there going, what? You know, they're all normal sized people. So and they eat that kind of thing. So they're all sitting there going, why are you ordering your burger with no bun? You know, I'm like, and I hated to do that, you know, to be that guy who's on a new diet, you know. Well, let me tell you about my great new diet. But I was like, well, I'm doing keto, you know, my wife, blah, blah, blah. They're like, did your wife put you on the diet? And I was like, kinda, you know. I mean, I kind of did myself, but she kind of did too, you know. She and I both can be a little bit shallow from time to time. So, you know, it's kind of, I didn't help my situation any by getting so heavy. But, you know, once I made that change, though, I was able to stick with it and lose that weight pretty quickly, you know. And I got excited about it and that kind of thing. But like I said, I've kind of run into this almost roadblocks. You know, and for someone like myself, you know, I don't like vegetables. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people. I'm not like, give me a couple of slices of those tomatoes. You know what I mean? Yuck. You know, or broccoli. And I've learned to kind of, you know, eat some of those things whenever I don't necessarily want to, because I'm not a vegetable eater, dude. Vegetable eater.
Well, you love cucumbers.
God, no. I'm not eating those. I don't care. I don't care if they cure cancer, bro. Okay? You make an extract out of them that you can give me a shot or something like that, because I'm not eating them. Okay? I hope they don't ever find out you have to eat them in order to have their benefits if they do cure some
Do you eat
incurable
pickles?
disease. It's not the same. Everybody always says that. Does a pickle taste like
No,
a freaking cucumber?
but I'm just saying,
God, no.
if cucumbers cure cancer, you can just get them in pickle form.
What if the pickle process takes out whatever
out.
it is? Of course, that's the way it would be too. You know what I mean?
Right,
We're like,
yeah.
well, it would have cured you, but we made it taste good, so it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Cucumbers taste good.
God, no, dude. They're the devil's spawn. I hate them. Ugh.
I feel the same way about olives. I don't care. People go, but do you like green olives? Do you like black olives? I'm like, I don't like any olives. They taste the same to me.
What?
They're terrible.
They're not the same. I know plenty of people that don't like green and black and that kind of thing like that, but the green and black ones don't taste the same.
They're bad.
Delicious.
No, they do taste the same.
Well,
but anyways,
and I can see, you know, and people always look at me like I'm crazy too, because there's very few people in this world that don't like cucumbers. You know, because you even got like soaps, you know, that are cucumber melon and all that. I hate the smell.
Oh, you don't like the smell too?
God, no, dude. It smells just like it tastes.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
No.
And everybody's like, oh, it's so fresh smelling and all that. I'm like, what? It's what it is terrible. Dude, I don't know why. I can't explain it. Because it's not bad like something really bitter or I don't know how to equate it, dude. It's just whatever it is about it, whatever makes the taste is disgusting. And I can taste it. I've had people, you know, they'll bring me salads, especially when I started eating, you know, healthier and all that. I was like, tonight I'll take your chef's salad. And, you know, I'm not a big salad eater, so I wouldn't think to say, does it have cucumbers in it? So they'd bring me one with some big fat slices of them on there, you know, and I'm like, oh, God. So I'd be like, can I, you know, I tried picking them off, or you'd say, and you could taste it. I can still taste it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not me. You know, it's not a mental thing. It's those nasty things have put their flavor on stuff. So you go, so you learn over time, and I'd go, okay, well, I'd like this salad, but if there's cucumbers in it, I don't want any cucumbers in it. Do you make it like in one big bowl, or can I have it made specifically without cucumbers? Oh yeah, I've had them do it at a restaurant here in McAllister. Oh no, we make them one at a time. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want any cucumbers in it. All they did is pick them out.
Right.
Because I'm sitting there going, thank God, you know, a lovely salad with no cucumbers. As soon as I take a bite, one time I smelled it on my way up. I was like,
dude,
no.
Listen to me. I'm exactly the same way with olives. The exact same way. People are like, just pick them out. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I love olives, but yeah.
And if I smell them, or
yeah. I mean, who are you kidding? You know, you think you
with no cucumbers.
Yeah. Who you think you're fooling? You know what I mean? Like, you go back there in the back. I know what they're doing. They're back there going, this fool's never gonna know the difference.
Right.
Yes, sir. Here's your freshly made salad. Just made it a minute ago. you know, and they made it last night and left it in the fridge, you know, which I get. You're at a restaurant. But don't tell me that you went and made my salad without them, okay? Because I can taste them.
So what do you do when you
I don't eat it.
you don't tell them? Listen, you lied to me.
No, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you don't want to ruin everybody's meal. I try to, you know,
Yeah.
so I'll just slide her on over. I'm not eating that. You know what I mean? It might as well have roaches in it. It's that gross to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you ruined it. I won't ever eat it unless it's like, I don't know, you know, the apocalypse and I'm starving to death.
I'm not
or
eating it.
something.
When it has olives, I'm not eating olives.
Well, I'm not going to say I won't eat gross stuff.
I
Because,
will not eat olives.
I mean, but it's going to have to be right before I start eating bugs. You know what I mean? Things are going to have to be bad. You know, I'm going to be like, oh my God, dude. You know, all
Well,
we've got.
there'll still be leaves and stuff, so I'll just eat those.
You have to eat some things that are going to sustain you. You know, we're not.
Well, olives is not that.
I don't know. I don't really get the olives because they're delicious to me, but
I can't put them in my mouth
well,
at all.
I
Because I will
yeah,
let
dude.
it all go.
Oh,
Right
won't,
there.
I won't throw up, but it's like
Oh, I will.
it's like you know. What
I
I mean?
can't
Like
even make it out of the building.
You throw up pretty easy though. Something else makes you throw up.
You better
too.
hope that headaches. Used
No, I mean I'm talking about like you can talk about throwing up and it'll make you throw up. Isn't that what it was?
to. No.
Dude, when we used to stay at Pizza Hut all the time, there was something. What did we? I did something or said
Olives.
something, and you went outside and thought you were going to throw up.
Did you talk about roaches? 'Cause, yeah, that'll do it.
Maybe that was what it was. I
Roaches
can't
will do
remember.
it.
I can't remember.
Well, I
Though,
told a
but-
story a long time ago about a roach, and I ended up puking down the side of my cousin's car,
It's funny, dude.
and they were all laughing so
Yeah.
hard at me,
Yeah, I mean,
and I was struggling.
well, that's why mentally sometimes I've seen you get, there. Dude, it was over something. Was it like loogies or something like that was making you want to throw up?
It had to
once?
be. It had
was
to be
something
roaches,
funny.
man. You were telling a story about roaches.
We were eating. I remember that. We were eating whatever it was, and you were like, stop, I'm going to get sick or something like that, and you like ran outside.
It was
funny.
roaches,
Probably.
guarantee.
Anyway,
Had to be.
all that goes right back to I had a great Memorial Day. Okay, it all comes right back around to the fact that as Memorial Days go, I had a good one. We were talking earlier before we started about the people that we've known of. We've been, I guess you'd say, fortunate that we haven't personally known anyone who died in combat or anything like that. But one guy that was, whenever I first came to Wilburton, I know we've talked about it on this podcast 2 or 3 times about me. I came in the 90s, and Anthony Botello was from Wilburton, and he was killed overseas, and that was a big thing around town. I didn't know him. I knew his brother Chad, and I guess you'd say I still know him. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but
Right.
anyway, it was really fresh. It had happened not too long, I think, before I moved to Wilburton, and they do a really great job of memorializing him, keeping his memory alive at Wilburton School. That was a big thing that I always thought was a cool thing about the town of Wilburton is, they're pretty proud of the people that do things. There's a lot to be said for that sacrifice, of course. That's kind of, I guess, what Memorial Day is for. But I thought that was a really neat thing for, I never knew him, but of course I still remember his name. That's how much it was a part of what went on at Wilburton. So that was kind of cool. I guess you'd say, if we want to talk about a personal experience with something that would relate, to Memorial Day and those kind of things, when you're, I've got family members in the service that have been in the service, and of course they're on my mind whenever we talk about this kind of stuff. And, I'd like to eventually have Dwayne Griffith on here,
For sure.
hopefully pretty soon. He's spent a lot of time in the military now, and I was always worried, dude, when he would deploy. Oh, man, even though he wasn't like he's not an infantryman or anything like that, even he deployed as a pilot, and that still was like, and fly C-130s. And not to say they're not in danger. I mean, he's got some cool stories about things, flying here and there, and all these kind of things. And I hope he gets into some of that when he's on, because he's pretty interesting. But that's as close as I've gotten personally, to knowing people with that have.
Yeah, when Anthony Botello when he died, it was a like you said, it was a huge deal. It was all in the news, and I think there was news crews in Wilburton. I'm pretty sure that they even came to his funeral. I rode my bicycle down to his funeral. I remember that because I didn't live far from it, so I wanted to go and see all that. And I think they even let school out. I'm not sure. I don't really remember, but I just remember being, and it may have been in the summer. I don't remember really. But anyways,
well, I remember,
I rode my bicycle down there, and there was a lot of people.
Sure. Well, that I could tell just by talking to people, and I was new at that time, of course. And people will say, "Have you ever heard? Do you know who Anthony Patel is? And I had heard about him on the news, of course, because he's Oklahoma. I had even seen it on the news, but there were a lot of people that knew him, of course, personally, because it's a small school and small town and everything. And you could tell there was, there were a lot of people that were genuinely deeply affected.
Yes.
For years after that, that about that happening, so, and it's a pretty good testament to, we talk a lot about how wild and crazy Wilburton was and could be and can be. And it's very true. The place can be crazy.
Off the hook.
But there's also people that, like you and Trent, lifelong friends. A lot of people are close and socially, these people are tight, in that community. And, even though I guess it kind of sounds like I'm a new guy to Wilburton. And
yeah, you're not.
And I moved there a long time ago. But it's one of those things that kind of from the beginning that kind of struck me, about this thing, the way this happened and the pride and everything that everybody felt because of it. And
the town came together.
Yeah, there's something to be said about it. I mean, it's not anything that I wouldn't think people from America would take lightly.
Right.
I mean, I can't speak for other countries, of course, but, in our part of the world, it's a big honor, to serve in the military. I know, I have nothing but respect for people that go and serve and that kind of thing like that, especially not having served myself, and so
Right.
A lot of respect goes out to those people. And of course, people that have been lost in the military. My grandfather was in the military, and he didn't die in service or anything like that, but his service was a big part of his life, and it was something that he took serious, and everybody knew about it and that kind of thing like that. So oh yeah. Well, I worked at the VA over in Tallahassee for several months back last year, and I worked there over Memorial Day, and these guys are in, it's equivalent to a sort of a nursing home for veterans, and there's been a lot of bad press about that place, and it's not perfect. I'm not trying to make a big plug for it like it's the greatest place in the world, but I'm not going to say one thing or another about it. My experience there, I enjoyed helping those guys. It was probably up there with one of my most favorite jobs, what I mean? And I'm up there cleaning them up and feeding them and doing all these things, that were foreign to me when I started. I was like, oh, geez, trying to get into that. But what I was going to say was over Memorial Day, it was kind of weird how, these guys, a lot of them were like, they weren't in the military that long, like I was surprised at how many guys weren't like career military guys that were in that VA, a lot of guys were, get in, do 2-3 years, maybe 5 or 6 years, and then they would get back out. And, of course, as they get older and need help, the VA would kind of take care of them. And they all had their own opinions about how well they were taken care of,
Right.
Some of them good, some of them bad. But, it was funny on Memorial Day, they had a big, of course, a big thing, a big outing where they had a cookout, and, You know, these guys were able to go out on a bus trip. The people that could travel and that kind of thing would go out on these buses, and they would take them to do different things that had to do with Memorial Day parades, different things, and they'd go see go with their families and stuff like that. I guess kind of an appreciation, you know, and all these guys had stories about um, friends that they lost and those kind of things like that. And it was funny, you know, even the World War II guys that I helped take care of were, it was fresh, dude. You know, it was for something to have happened to them so long ago. It was still, dude. They're the details that the guys that, you know. I mean, of course, some of them were dementia and that kind of thing like that. But the guys who had their minds were really like, the details were crystal clear. And what was funny is when you start talking about Memorial Day to them and stuff like that, even guys that were having, you know, dementia issues and that kind of thing like that, sometimes they would just like, it's almost like they would snap to and remember something about. Oh, I heard some incredible stories, man. I mean, just that's why I like that job so much. I mean, just some really neat and some devastating stories that those guys would just relate to, you know. And all you had to do was just show them a minute of like, you know, ask them a simple question or something like that. Not that I picked at their, you know, well, did you see anything bad over there? Not
Right.
like that, but you know, I'd ask them how long they were in the service and that kind of thing like that. You know, I mean, when you're with them day in and day out, you're going to make conversation and, you know, things are going to get brought up. And those guys, there were some older guys in there that were World War II veterans. And like I said, it was amazing. You know, these guys are talking about, well, I went into the Army when I was 15. You know, I lied about my age and went in the Army when I was 15 years old and went and fought and, you know, they can tell you everywhere they went. You know, every now and then the things that didn't bother them too much. You know, they would on their own just kind of get started telling you about things. And like I said, the whole point is on Memorial Day, it was like that stuff was almost heightened. You know, I mean, none of these guys are asking for, you know, sympathy. Nobody's like, "Don't you feel bad for me?" or nothing like that. You know, it was always just more of a almost like reverence, you know what I mean, for guys that they knew that they had lost and that kind of thing like that. But they didn't tell them in a sad way. A lot of times they would start in telling you some funny story
Right.
about something they saw this guy do, you know, and they're like, well, but he, you know, he got killed and blah 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 blah. And so, you know, having a lot of respect for the military already, seeing that all these years later, the effect that it would have on these guys, and they, you know, the guys I'm talking about, if they were here, would be like, "Shut up," you know. So they don't do it for attention, you know. It's not
Right.
for sympathy or anything like that. And they don't even tell it in that way. Like I said, a lot of times it's humor that they were talking, but you know, it speaks a lot about the effect. I can't imagine the effect that it would have on me, or you know, being in that situation, losing guys, and you know that all the only experience I have with it, of course, is you know like these movies and that kind of thing like that you see that try to make it, you know, try to recreate it or whatever, which is to some people almost an insult, and then some guys are like, oh, they got it pretty close, depending on who you talk to, but definitely, you know, it makes you think more about what these guys have been through, what they were put through, and guys that were lost and that kind of thing like that. So I'm pretty mindful on days like today because of
Yeah,
that.
for sure. I had a guy tell me a Vietnam story one time, and a couple stories, and I think hearing it straight from the horse's mouth, it it was definitely an eye opener for me. Even though I knew a lot of things that went on, and you know, you hear all the stories and this and that, and you see movies and all that. And then when you hear a guy telling you, and I didn't ask him, of course, you know, but he wanted to tell me a couple stories, and I was like, oh my gosh, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it was like I said, it was a huge eye opener.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, it's a testament to how mentally tough these guys come out of these, you know, these situations to go back into their lives and continue on. You know, I mean, that'd be tough. I
Yeah,
couldn't imagine, dude, trying to come back. You know, to everyday life, walking up and down the street, and leaving from a place where nothing was, you were never safe. You never got to feel like you let your guard down, and then just kind of end up back in, society or whatever.
Right.
That transition, you can see it on those guys' faces a lot of times. Like I said, most of the stories I heard were told in humor. They'll tell you funny stories or something like that. But every now and then, like I said, that day was like, the thing. The biggest thing was there was a lot of pride. You could tell these guys were uh, not pride in themselves necessarily. It's just sort of being a part of something bigger than themselves. And kind of as a patriotic guy, I felt um, not a responsibility, but more just I don't know what word to use for it, but like this need to help these guys a little bit more on that day, or maybe talk to them a little bit more than I even normally did, or try to tell them some funny dumb story about something that I had done. Um, there was a lot of cool things about being around those guys that I haven't been up until that point. Hadn't been around uh, a lot of veterans in a group like that, and you had these guys were from World War II all the way up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there were a lot of Vietnam guys, especially there. Um, and you get to see the difference in how the war affected them, I guess you'd say. I don't know if it was a difference in the time or the culture or whatever. I can't really speak to what the difference was, but there was actually a difference in, like, say, the World War II guys. The World War II and the Korean guys were really similar in their experiences, or the way that they reacted to you talking to them about it and that kind of thing. And then the Vietnam guys were, um, I don't know, it was almost like it was a little more, I don't know, closer to them or something like that. I don't really know how to explain it. But you could tell a difference in the way they related the stories to you. And it might have
Really?
been a difference in age too, because the World War II guys obviously were like in their 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
and then you had these guys from Vietnam are in their 60s, so that might be the difference too, or just the difference in the times that they were young men. You know how that is. Like, I love grunge music because that was what was big whenever I was young or whatever. So,
Did
but
they shut the? Did they shut that center down in Tallahassee?
no, it's still open. They were talking about moving it once. I read in the news, and then now they've decided not to move it. I guess they're going to keep it open down there for now. It kind of goes back and forth, but they did a big change up of the last time I read about it. Some administration changes and different things like that. So I mean, like I said, I can't speak towards what goes on down there now or anything like that. When I
Right.
was there, I just went every day and tried to help take care of these guys. That's what was awesome about it. Was I didn't know that about myself till I got down there, that I liked taking care of these old dudes. I say there was like a couple of women down there, but they were almost all guys down there.
Did they want to move or did they want to stay?
And most of them really didn't look at it on that grand of a scale. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they were all having their own individual experiences there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like there were little things that if they wanted to change something, usually it was like, I'd like to see my doctor, or um, I want to get my medication changed, and sometimes they just didn't understand. I'd say maybe they didn't have a full understanding of how their medication works and that kind of thing. I don't want to say that it was unwarranted what they wanted. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Right.
it was just that, and I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but uh, as far as people just saying, I hate it here, I want to get out of here and all that. No, I honestly, in my own experience, I can't speak for anybody, and I'm nobody's advocate or anything like that. But I mean, in my own small little experience I had over there over a few months, um, nobody's like, I got to get out of here, or I hate it here, or I didn't see any terrible things that were caused by the staff or anything like that. I mean, you have things that you didn't appreciate or something like that, but they get dealt with on their own, in their own way, I guess you'd say. I don't want to make it sound like it's like prison, like, oh, I caught her back there, she's being mean to this guy, so whenever she went to her lunch break, I beat the piss out of her. Not like that.
Right.
What um they got a lot of checks and ways of keeping up with how people are treating
Yeah.
those people that live over there. And there's a lot of people that work there that care. I mean, no matter what you hear about that place over there, and you're going to have good and bad no matter where you're at.
No matter where.
And especially I think, in elderly care. I mean, it takes a specific kind of person to enjoy that kind of work. And there were some people there that didn't enjoy it. That could have picked a different path or whatever, but there were some good people that worked over there, man. I enjoyed. There was a lot of people that were trying to help people, just like me. So I don't want to get on too long of a tangent about that, but I mean, I can tell you some really funny stories about some things those guys would say and do, and men are funny creatures, dude. When they get old, they are very funny. But like I said, that was kind of my, I guess, my long-winded thing about Memorial Day. Enjoyed it. So, and you look like you guys. It looked like by social media, everybody on the planet, everybody in the free world was playing cornhole. Dude, so many cornhole matches on Snapchat, on anything that I happen to breeze by as far as social media.
Well, the only thing you need to concern yourself with is that you're looking at the 2019 Memorial Day Cornhole Champion.
Like single champion? You guys playing single matches?
I had a partner. I had
Not
a teammate.
worth mentioning who your teammate was?
I mean,
no shout outs or nothing like that? They might not want to play with you again. You might want to keep that in mind.
I'm just saying, Cornhole Champion 2019. No big deal.
Wow. That's a big honor to have on Memorial Day.
Yeah. We had a lot of food too. Golly, a lot of food.
It looked like it. And I appreciate you bringing me some,
Right.
so I could eat a little bit before we got started.
Yeah, anytime, man.
Yeah, thanks. He didn't bring me any, in case anybody's wondering.
Not at all.
Not one thing.
Well, I didn't know you wanted any.
Nah, I had plenty of food at the house. I'm just kidding. But
I'm
anyway.
inviting you next year, though.
Well, you don't want me to come up there, dude, because I will. If you play against me in cornhole, I will screw up the championship for you big time. So I'm pretty good. Okay?
Well, I'm not going to be on your team for sure.
That's what I mean.
I know.
So whatever team you're on that's not mine, it's
Well, I
going
might
to
have
lose.
to switch teams if I don't say who my teammate was.
Okay, so that's what I was meant to say a minute ago. You might want to give a shout out to somebody.
Not going to do it.
Okay. Well, then don't do it. Hopefully it works out for you next Memorial Day.
So how was your week?
Pretty good. Pretty busy. My work's been really crazy. Both of us been, trying to make sure we can get time to do this has been a struggle. I mean, it's a good struggle, though. I mean, it's good to have something. I like being responsible to the podcast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, we wanted to have a guest, of course, but things kept happening, and it's hard for us to contact a guest and say, okay, can you be here?
Yeah,
so,
we don't know.
Right.
Between Friday and Sunday, sometime,
exactly.
Can you be available on a holiday weekend and just show up?
So we're hoping, in the future, once we get this thing ironed out more and better, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think, I mean, just every so often, it's not bad for us just to do an episode with just us.
Well, that's true.
We got important opinions.
Absolutely.
Somebody might want to hear what we have to say. How come when they hear what we got to say, we got a guest around here?
I don't think anybody wants a guest to come on, other than the guest that's contacted us saying, hey, I want to be on,
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty entertaining.
I think everybody else is like, no, just you two dudes.
Yeah. No, I bet not. I bet they're like, come on, dude. I thought this was going to have, some people besides these two goofballs.
It is going to have a funny story.
Well, I've been patiently waiting.
This podcast,
on how your week was.
My podcast is definitely, or my podcast. This podcast is definitely going to have a funny story from something that happened to me. I think I touched base on it last podcast that, weird stuff happens to me. If you think it could never happen, just know it's going to happen to me. Just know that it's going to happen to me. Like,
I believe you. I've seen it happen enough times. Yeah.
Right.
I believe you.
This really wasn't a big deal at the time, but when I went skiing for the first time with Scotty and Trent, I was on the oh my gosh,
ski lift?
Ski lift. Thank you.
Okay.
I was, I don't know.
It's no problem. It's just the English language. No big deal.
Right. And so I had my skis, and I was, I said, Trent, what happens if I drop one of these skis? And he's like, dude, that can't happen. And I was thinking, well, how does it not happen? Because, when you crash or whatever, your skis fly off or whatever. And sure enough, and I wasn't trying. I was not trying to drop the ski at all. And it fell. And I was...
Like a long ways? Were you like halfway up the mountain and your ski fell off?
We had already got up halfway of the mountain, and then I think we were going back up. I don't remember. Anyways, it fell. And
How'd you get it back?
I mean, I looked at...
Did you slalom ski down to it or something like that?
No, actually the ski lift operator ran down there and grabbed it and put it on a chair that was, behind us.
Oh, so that's a common thing, I guess. People lose skis from time to time.
I guess so. But Trent was like, it can't happen. I was like...
Of course it can.
And we both looked at each other. I thought, I got to buy skis now. I've got to buy this pair of skis. Because I can't take it back with just one.
You thought it was lost forever?
I thought it was lost forever.
A lava pit
Well,
or
it was the
something
first
like that?
time I didn't know. It was not a place that people were skiing at. It was not accessible. Or easily acceptable. Accessible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
I'm really sleepy.
So,
if you can't tell.
Go ahead and...
Because it is 2:07 a.m.
That's all right.
That's how dedicated we are, though.
Yeah, we put in the work, dude. This thing got to happen.
For real.
So, in the interest of you getting along to your sleep, what the hell happened?
Okay.
I've heard of dramatic pauses, but this is getting out of hand.
We went to Fort Worth last week, right?
You and who's we?
My wife, Amy. We get to Fort Worth. We get to our hotel. Okay. Usually, I go check in. She stays out in the truck. I come back out. We go, park wherever we need to park, close, and then get our stuff and then go up to the room. So I get into the lobby, okay, and this is it looks like a brand new hotel. Now I found out after reading about it a couple days ago or whatever. No, I needed a receipt, so I had to call them, and it said recently renovated. So this thing looks brand new. I get into the lobby, okay, and there's two people behind the desk. Okay, there's a man and an older woman. I'd say she's probably in her 70s. And then there's a woman at the counter, okay, dealing with the man. The woman behind the counter, the employee, is typing on a computer, right? And then there's a TV, okay, a big screen TV. All right, I'm putting my hand up. Sorry. To block my face, because really it's better that way. And on this TV, when you walk into a hotel, usually it's Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. Oh my gosh, is it MSNBC?
Yeah.
Usually it's the news. Okay. Not tonight.
Is it porn?
It is hardcore porn.
Are you serious?
As a heart attack.
I was trying to be funny. There's...
As a heart attack.
There's porn on the TV?
Yes. Hard.
In the lobby of the motel? Or the
hotel. Hardcore.
Oh my God, dude. Is there a person's checking in when you walk in?
No one is acting like anything is happening.
Hold on. There was somebody checking in when you walk in?
A woman that was about my age. Maybe a little older. No. And we're not, listen, yes. Listen, we're not. We're not
Oh my God,
very
dude.
far from the TV. I have a picture on my phone. I took a picture of it.
I'm glad you did. Because I was thinking, I wonder
took-
if he made this up.
No.
You know?
Listen, first of all, I couldn't make this up.
Okay,
All right?
you have to put this picture at the bottom of the video. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm in shock. You were
It's
right.
not the end of the story.
You were right. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm definitely ready to hear the rest.
Okay, when I went in, okay, when I walked in the lobby, immediately I noticed.
Of course, I would hope so.
Now this TV is not far from the desk. It's a pretty circular lobby, and dude, I can't make this up. Okay, I told Amy the next day. I said, "Listen, I'm a funny guy, but I'm not that funny." You know, I thought honestly that it was a setup.
I can't believe everybody's acting like it's not on.
I'm like, man, I've traveled. I started thinking, is this just the norm here in Fort Worth? Even though I know it's not.
And that's still a
started-
hospitable hotel if you think about it.
I'm not kidding. It was running through my mind. Is that the norm? Is this normal?
I've been thinking I was in a swinger motel. I've been
what-
like, is this, am I in the wrong, what's going on here? You know, I'm
Listen, I'm running it through my head that I'm on Punk'd. I'm like, well, you know, Ashton Kutcher's back, you know, and this is a good one because I'm acting like, I mean, I look right at Amy and she looks at me and she's like,
Did you act
smiling
like
real big.
Did you act like it wasn't on too? I mean, was like everybody else? You just like going about business?
I pulled my phone out and took pictures of it.
Like a good podcaster would.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm still sitting there, and the woman, I'm trying to look at her so I can be like, or the dude, I'm really wanting him to look at me, and so I can be like, you know, dude, please turn the channel. You know, it's not uncomfortable for me, but if anybody in this room figures out what's going on, I still don't understand how they didn't know what was going on.
They had to have. How can it be playing with the sound? I could see it maybe not looking at the TV if it's on but no sound. You know, you're just like.
I don't want to repeat what was being said on the movie, on the videos. I don't want to repeat it. But there was no denying it whatsoever.
I want to know why it was on there.
You
I want
tell
to know
me.
why. You know what I mean? How did this happen?
So okay. So let's get back to the story here. So people are walking in and out as well, and no one's stopping and going, "What the?"
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you, Lucas. I'm not joking. Not one single person acknowledged what was going on. No big-eyed people. I mean, there was no big eyes. There was no. There was not. I'm not kidding you. Because I started thinking right off the bat. I was like, I have to be on some kind of hidden camera show, and I'm the one that they're targeting. These are all actors, because the woman at the counter is closer to the TV than I am, way closer. Because you don't, when you come in and there's a woman at the counter, you just stand kind of behind, and she was not acknowledging it at all. So
Was it straight porn? I mean, I don't mean to get too deeply involved, but
Yes.
I mean, was it like?
It was straight. Yeah. Like I said, man,
You said it was
I can't make this up. I can't make this up. And the one time Amy gets out of the car and comes in with me to check in, the one time I was so thankful because I was like, I could tell this story and no one's going to believe me.
Yeah, I'm honestly, and I know, I'm sure you wouldn't tell, but I'm just sitting here going, this is so far out there. I don't see how this could be. That nobody's reacting. That's what's getting.
No reaction whatsoever. So in walks a woman with a dog. and stands right next to the TV.
Did she look at the TV? Did she glance at it or anything?
It's a weenie dog.
Right. Well, no pun intended, right?
It's a weenie dog.
I'm waiting on this. I'm waiting on this to be like a joke that I'm not understanding or something.
It's a
like
weenie
that.
dog. I'm not joking. And it's looking up at me like I only got a reaction out of the dog.
Yeah.
He's looking up at me like,
Wait a
dude.
minute. Seriously. This
I'm-
lady never looked at the TV.
Not at all.
So everybody's trying to pretend like they got this thing up where it's not happening.
Must have
How?
been.
I mean, how can nobody react? I don't understand.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm all about being mature in these, as a grown person, I'm about being mature. But this is another level, okay?
Amy sat down and put her back to it. She was looking out the door, and people kept walking in, and
You guys weren't both laughing?
Yeah, I was looking at her, and we were laughing, and we were like sitting there looking at each other like, are you kidding me? Is this real life? And so the pizza guy walks in, right? And the dog barks at him, and he walks on by with the pizza. Meanwhile, this is going on.
It sounds like a joke. Are you sure you're not coming to a joke? Go ahead. Pizza guy. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the weenie dog. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Comes in,
be, yeah,
and stands right next to the TV and is looking up at me like,
you gonna do something about
are
this?
you gonna change this channel, dude? And I was trying to look at the dog like, this is not my deal. And the dog barks at the pizza guy, and I even laughed and said something to the woman trying to break up the sound because it was dead silence. Right? It was late, and it was.
And everybody's trying to listen.
I guess, I guess so.
I mean, if you can't watch in peace, at least you can listen and
I guess
enjoy
so.
what you're
But
hearing.
she's from me to this monitor right here. I mean, she's 2 feet from the
and
TV.
it's loud, like the sound's
It's
up loud.
very, very
Dude,
loud.
are you
So
kidding
I'm
me?
looking. I start looking around for the remote. I'm like thinking that the remote is, or I'm thinking maybe somebody is playing a prank and changing the TV to it or whatever. And
You can't find
I
anything.
can't find the remote. Right.
It's behind the counter.
The woman that's up there at first, she walks away. Finally.
What time of day is this? Hold on. I kind of want to
this
set
is
this
about
up a little bit
midnight.
better. Okay.
This is about midnight. And then the woman with the dog walks up to the counter, and I don't know what she said. And he said, "Yes, ma'am," or whatever, So she left. So it's only me left in the lobby, right? So then I'm like, okay, now I can say something, And so I was about to walk out. The other lady she got my key and everything, and she's 70-something years old, and I'm thinking, how are y'all not seeing this? How? It was incredible.
Okay, now I know this took a few minutes for you to tell, right? And I had a really good laugh.
We sit in the lobby for a good 10 minutes of this going on.
And this movie played the entire time.
The entire time.
People coming and going. Nobody's paying any attention. Nobody's saying anything.
Nobody says a word. And as I'm walking out, I look over and I see the remote is right in front of this guy. On his side of the counter. And I said, "Hey, my man." He looks at me. I said, "You might want to change this channel." And he goes, didn't even look at the TV when I said it. Like he didn't go, "Huh?" When I said, "You might want to change this," he looks right down at the remote, straight to the TV. He took 0.5 seconds to make the change.
Listen, if I'm going to make sure that plenty of people that I know listen to this episode to hear that story. I'm not going to tell them what it is.
Please don't.
Please don't name it something that has to do with it.
I won't.
I mean, I just want to say, go on there and listen to the story that Ben tells. Okay, just listen to it. It's going to be worth it. Not my ridiculous hysterical laughter in the middle of it that I couldn't contain, but dude, that's a funny story. Okay, and that's going to be funny for 100 years, no matter what happens. But
Weird things happen to me in hotels, man.
yeah,
I mean, I've stayed in a million of them, literally, over the years, you know. And I even started telling my father-in-law this story. But back in '07, I was in California, and I was staying in Motel 6s. I'd highly recommend you to never stay at a Motel 6.
oh god, okay,
But I was working my way up through from, I think, Soledad, which is by Salinas, California. I was working my way from there to north of Sacramento. I was all over the place. So I wasn't able to stay in the same hotel twice. Every night was a different hotel, different city, different hotel. So, I'll just touch base on this, but something happened earlier that day, and it was a long day for me. And so when I go to the hotel or the motel, I check in, and all of a sudden my phone rings. Okay? And it's a guy, and he offers me things that he wants to do to me. He wants to do things to me, okay? And I said,
was it the hotel clerk? Was it the guy?
no, it was the guy in the room next door.
How'd he get your number?
He
Oh,
knew-
your phone, your room phone.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of your cell phone.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
this
no,
is
room phone.
this is the craziest
Room
story.
phone.
I would have
He
run.
said, "Hey, I
screaming.
watched you unpack your car, and I watched you walk across the parking lot." And I won't say anything else he said, but he said, "I want you to come over and da 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 da." I said, "Dude," and people have asked me, because when I tell the story in detail, people ask me, they're like, "Hey, why did you stay on the phone with this guy? If you didn't want to take him up on it." I said, "Listen, first of all,
It's a valid question.
he told me he watched me get out of my car, and I had a lot of my work stuff in my car. So I was afraid that this guy was just trying to set me up. I was thinking that he was just trying to talk to me, keep me on the phone while somebody broke into my car. So I walked over with the phone to the window, and I could see out, and I was watching my car, and I was talking to him. I was like, "No, dude, I'm not into that or whatever." And he pretty much begging me and saying all kinds of dirty stuff to me. Okay. So finally we got off the phone. I was like, "No, whatever," and got off the phone. And I had a long day that day. That was the day that when I was in the back of that yard, there was like an empty warehouse or whatever. And I was in the back. I had to be in the back corner of this yard, and I had cut the lock on the chain to get it back there, which I was perfectly legal to do. And next thing I know, there's a whole 7, 8, 10 cop cars flying across this parking lot, about the size of a Walmart parking lot, flying across the Walmart parking lot. And I knew, that somebody saw me cut that lock, and they thought that I was whatever. And so I just set my paperwork down and stuff, and just, they pulled up. Long story short, they put me in cuffs, put me in the back of a cop car, was going to take me to jail. I said,
what are you doing?
I'm in law enforcement, and I'm not here. I'm not doing anything illegal, blah, 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 blah. But I know, and I told them, I was like, I realized how bad it looks, but I had paperwork and everything to show that I was perfectly legal, but they didn't want to hear it.
How in the hell and why in the hell did these people, how did they react so fast?
Because an off-duty detective was driving by when I cut the lock, and he called it in. So they immediately came, and they flew across. They threw down on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, So they were like, so, do you have a weapon in the car? And
You go, well, hell yeah, I do.
At first they said, "We're going to search your car. Can we search your car?" And I said, "No." Well, I say that's what they said first. About an hour into the whole thing, of me being in cuffs and being in the back seat of the car and stuff, and me trying to explain everything to them, and they were calling people and trying to, and he did try to. I mean, he could have, but I told him, I was like, "You take me to jail," and I said, "I know you hear this all the time. You take me to jail, and I'm getting my lawyer, and da 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 da." I've heard it. On duty, not to me, but I've heard it being said.
It never works. Nobody ever goes, "Oh, well, in that case, sir."
Right.
Just click,
And I
click.
told him, I was
There
like,
you go.
"Listen, this is an unlawful arrest. I said, so you don't want to do this? And he's like, well, I think I'm just going to have to and let the DA sort it out on Monday because this was Friday. And I was like, this is in Fremont, California. So, I can't, he kept trying to get a hold of my company, and my company wasn't answering the phone. I was like, oh God. My gosh. And we even had a 800 number that they could call and get a hold of somebody at all times. But anyways, long story short, he said, can I search your car? And I said, no. And he's like, why not? And I was like, I just want you searching my car. First of all, I had all my work stuff and it was all in order, and I just knew they were going to tear my car apart, which they did. He goes, I'm going to search it anyways. Dove into my car and started searching it. And he's sitting there searching. He goes, am I going to find a weapon? And I said, well, yeah, And he said, well, oh yeah, what is it? And I said, it's a 40 caliber H&K USP 40, And so he pulls it out, and I think I had 8 or 9 magazines loaded, and
Jeez.
I'm in California, dude. I'm going to be in Oakland.
So you're afraid you're going to have to fight your way out of the state of California with 8 or 9 magazines?
Have you ever been to Oakland, California?
I have not, thank God.
Right.
I mean, nothing against Oakland, but I just know I haven't.
Yeah, everything against Oakland. It's terrible.
Okay.
So my Motel 6 in Oakland had bars on the windows, and it was the size of this desk. Literally. It was like this big right here. It was the bed covered the whole floor. There was it was the weirdest thing, and it had huge gates around it. The whole Motel 6 yard. It was bad. This is in Fremont. I was going to be in Oakland in a couple days. And he said, well, you can't have he ran the serial number on it and whatever, and he goes, well, you can't have an unregistered weapon. And I said, oh, yeah, I can, because Oklahoma doesn't register their weapons. We don't have a national database that you can search our weapons on. And, I've got my badge. I'm in law enforcement. I've got my badge, and I've got my letterhead. And he's like, oh, no, I don't think you can do that. I don't think that applies to you. And I said, what do you mean it don't apply to me? I said, I can carry my weapon in all 50 states. Oh, I don't know, Well, he found out that I could, because he was probably going to try to charge me with it, So he found out that I could, but then he was like, well, you can't have this weapon because it's not registered, so I'm taking your weapon. And I said, man, I'm going to be in Oakland in a couple days. And he's like, if you have to pull your weapon out in Oakland, you're dead anyways. I said, well, that's not how we think, in Oklahoma.
That's not your damn business.
Right,
Give my gun back.
Exactly. And he's like, how do you afford this pistol? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, they were not cool with me at all, ever. I mean, they treated me like I was the enemy the entire time, But they let me go.
You got to think about where their cops at, though.
Well, I know, but they let me go.
These dudes see the worst, They
let me go, but they did take my gun, but I got my gun back. Nobody thought I was ever going to get it back. And I said, oh yeah, I'm going to get it back. Even that detective, he goes, I said, how do I get my gun back? Where do I go to get my gun back? Because I wanted to go get it right then. I was thinking, okay, you go
get my gun and give it to me.
Well, he already was taking it right then, but I was thinking, you go enter it in or whatever you need to do in the evidence, and then I'm going to show up tomorrow and I'm going to get it back. But it wasn't that easy. They were going to try to run they were going to try to make me pay for a background check and all that. And then they realized that they had messed up, and they sent my gun to the railroad, because that was the police department that I was in, and I'm still in. So they sent my gun to that because they can't send it, just to you,
Which I think is ridiculous, but yeah.
Right. So they sent it to the railroad and said, sorry, wrote me a letter. We don't have to do any of that. I'm sorry. We're, sorry for the confusion or whatever.
Did they keep you in jail?
I never went to jail. No, they released me right there on site.
So they were willing to let you go, but they were going to keep your gun.
Because the gun is not registered.
Wow.
So that is the day I had. And then I go to the motel. And then I get, propositioned.
And a guy wants to touch your body.
Right. And hey, whatever. Okay. Not a big deal.
Why wouldn't he?
Not a big deal. But then, then I have to listen to him and another guy, you know, do the deed for a long time. A long time. And dude, you can hear my voice in your
God, dude.
you can hear my voice right now in your mic in your headphones. That's exactly how loud it was.
Oh.
It's Motel 6. It's paper
Dude, he
thin
was trying
walls.
to let you in. You know, you keep running into these situations where people are trying to be hospitable to you, man, and you're looking at these things.
Right? I'm looking at it all wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
these
looking
people are
at it
trying to
all
show you a
wrong.
good time, and you were just
Yeah.
you're not having it. I don't
Yeah.
understand. I don't know. I don't
Then a few
understand.
days later, I'm staying at a Super 8. It's just a little step up from Motel 6. So I was treating
Well,
myself, right?
Motel 6, Super 8, you know, you're getting up the ladder
Right.
there, yeah.
So I'm a Super 8, and there is at least 4 people in the next room over having a good time. Okay? Like, yes.
Is the entire state of California having sex in motel rooms?
I said, what? I called Trent.
And is this becoming the theme of this podcast, by the way? We've had a lot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. These hotel stories, man, it's bad. Motel, hotel. I have not had good experiences. I've had some
there you go
weird
again. There you go again.
experiences.
That could be a good experience to somebody. You may be looking at this the wrong way.
I agree.
I mean, you could have looked at it as
You
a
know,
compliment. You know, this man sees you sashaying across the parking lot.
You know, no one tried to attack me. You know, no one tried to get in my door or whatever.
Yeah,
so that's
this guy's being hospitable. He's asking.
But you know, I was.
He wants to touch your body. You know what I mean?
Yes, he did very much.
He doesn't understand what the problem was.
And he did not. And I told him, I was like, no, I'm not into that, you know. So then there's, Super 8. So I called Trent up. I'm like, Trent,
Listen.
do you hear that? And he's like, oh yeah. What are you? I said, he said, man, I don't want to say what he didn't say much, but
Oh my God, dude.
he said, are you going to join him or something, And we laughed. And I said, dude, they're about to join me. They're about to come through this door, or this wall, But I mean, that's how loud that was. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. No more. I mean, that wasn't a big deal, but it was just happened so close to the other, And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And then I go to Massachusetts, and I've already sworn off Motel 6s. No more Motel 6. Well, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and guess what? There's a Motel 6. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll stay here. And this is not a big deal, especially in these days. In this day and time, you can't really say stuff, And people are like, "Well, what's the big deal?" But hey, I'm a young dude at the time, still young, and very young I am still.
Where's this going? Okay, go ahead.
But I check in, and I'm walking to my room, and the room right next door to me, there's a big window. The Motel 6s have big windows, and the curtain don't even cover the whole window. So if you really want to, you can look at any Motel 6 window and see inside. No joke. So, but this guy had it wide open, okay? And he's sitting there at the table. There's a table right in front of the window. And he's sitting there.
So scared.
No, it's not a big deal, but he's standing there in full-fledged drag queen. And this guy's about 60-something years old.
Yeah.
He's got a red dress on. I'll never forget it. Ruby red lips. He's got the earrings. He's got the wig and everything. And he's just staring right out the window. He never bothered me. He never called or anything.
Well, he's advertising.
But I was ready. Yeah, I was.
You were ready? Okay.
I was ready for the call.
Oh.
Okay. I just knew it was coming. But no, nothing. I guess I wasn't his
being
time.
conceited. I mean, you just assume this man's gonna be, attracted to you.
I guess so. But anyways, he never did. But when I walked by the window, I looked in, and he's right next door to me. Like, he's not 2 doors down; he's 1 door down.
Was it? Of course he was. Was it a long dress or was it a short dress?
It was a shorter dress. And I shouldn't even know this, right? Well, I think I seen him again walk by.
It's kind of a test.
I think you're trying to say. He was trying to. I think I seen him at one point again, but he never did say anything to me or call my phone or was kind of offended.
That's
I
a
was like,
lot
"What?"
of that's a lot of sexual adventures. You know what I'm saying? For one man, that's a lot of things going on.
I know, but like I said, man, it comes back to what happened to me the other night in the hotel lobby. Uh, any of the stories I've told you, other than the guy sitting at the table in a dress, that's
That's
not
pretty
normal.
I know. I'm just kidding.
It's not normal
I
when you
know.
said it. It's not normal, but hey, whatever floats your boat. But getting propositioned hardcore.
Over the
Okay,
phone.
not the guy didn't just call and say, "Hey, are you looking for a good time or are you looking for some company?" He was going into great detail of what he wanted to do.
He's trying to entice you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the hotel lobby, and then the swinger party or whatever it was, whatever that thing was. What?
Those are odd things. I wish you guys would have brought that up the other day whenever we were doing the
I
other one
should
with
have.
Trent. We'll have to cover that next time he comes on.
Yeah, he can definitely tell you that it was the real deal.
That'd be. I'd like to hear his version.
And then I was also in an earthquake, big earthquake
In California?
Yeah, while I was out there. And I said, "That's it. I'm done." I stood up. I'd just gotten delivery.
Delivery of what?
Well, food.
Okay.
Gotten.
Well, I didn't know at this point. I never know what's going to happen.
I sit down, and I had no clothes on whatsoever. Okay. I was going to eat.
It's a horrible mental picture, but go ahead.
I just wanted you to know.
Okay.
I was in an earthquake and I was naked completely.
Disgusting.
And I never really thought of it that way, but I was in an earthquake naked.
Were you naked when the delivery guy came? Because maybe he thought you were trying to entice him.
No.
This is getting weird.
No.
Okay.
So I'm eating, earthquake hits. Supposedly it's like the biggest earthquake that hit since the
And what town were you in then? What city? Or
I was in oh my gosh, I was in not Santa Rosa, I was in Santa Cruz, I think. So I stood up, I was like, I'm done. And I expected to open the door and be,
apocalypse?
yes, buildings be crashed down and all that, because it was a huge earthquake that I'd been in. It was way bigger than anything I'd ever experienced.
Instead, they're just in there in the lobby watching porn.
Crickets, right?
Well, all right.
This was fun.
Yeah,
this was great.
It was a good one. I had a real good laugh several times.
Did you really like the story, though? Is it going to be... Is it worthy of the podcast?
Damn straight it is.
Are you...
Damn right it is.
Are you glad I saved
You
it for
could
the
cut out
podcast?
everything else
and just
air that shit.
Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you guys for watching. Everybody, for real, thank you very much for listening and watching.
Yeah, man. It's really neat. It's a cool feeling.
And the shares. Like Flip, taking a picture of him watching us on the big screen TV.
This stuff
in his living room.
Crazy, man. Yeah.
And, people sharing. Every share is much appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we should, if you can give shout outs, is that still a thing you do?
Now, you may not want to share this with your...
No. I'm just talking about like our online friends and stuff like that. I don't want
your parents to hear my stories.
Oh, man. Who cares about that? They'll turn it off as soon as I say a cuss word. So who cares? But
you think they will, really?
Yeah, man.
You don't think they'll just keep watching and see what other cuss words their baby boy is gonna say?
I don't know. They're not gonna be disappointed. I say a few of them this thing. But
shout outs, right?
Yeah, man. Like we game some online, that kind of thing like that, and got some good friends that we made online, and I met them through you. Just like so many other people and things like that, and there's some good dudes. They really back you up, back me up, back us.
Yeah, they love you more than they love me. Anyways.
No, they just giving you shit.
No, they're serious.
No, they're just giving you a hard time.
No, they're serious. So LeBlanc, my bad, but LeBlanc.
Hey,
LeBlanc.
He's into it. He's down with all this stuff.
Flip,
Goldie.
I tagged Trent in. I posted the picture that Flip took.
Oh yeah.
I posted it on Facebook today, and Goldie was like, really, dude? You know, really? I was like,
Well,
he hadn't listened to the podcast too. He's saving it for work tomorrow.
oh yeah.
So when he at work tomorrow, he'll listen to Trent.
Well, it's good, man. You know, it's funny, and real quickly, and then I'll stop. But it's odd to me how I feel like I'm friends with these guys that I've never met.
Right.
You know, and it's going to be hard for people that don't do that. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of people already that are sitting here listening to this going, really, grown men? Really? You know, and all that stuff. But, dude, and I'm not trying to get anybody to go online gaming or anything like that, but I'm just saying I was surprised as a guy who didn't grow up doing that stuff. How you can, I mean, I feel like I'm friends with these people, you
Yeah.
know, even though you don't see them every day or anything like that. I mean, we've talked about all kinds of crap while we're sitting there
Oh gosh,
playing these
they've heard
games.
all my stories already.
Yeah.
Mostly, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, I just kind of want to talk about those guys because they're pretty instrumental in checking out what we're doing and being behind us and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. That means a lot, dude. That's pretty cool.
A lot.
You know, I mean, as almost as much as people that we actually know. You know, so
Yeah, people we actually know that are like, oh man, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to.
yeah.
I'm going to. I promise. I swear.
I can't find it. Where is it? It's, you know, I'm like, really? It's on. You know, go look wherever you see. You know,
Just tell us
any
the
of the
truth.
major podcasts.
Just tell us the truth and say you don't want to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean,
You can't hurt our feelings. I promise you that.
And waste your life by not paying attention to what we're talking about.
Yeah, for real. But if we share a video, if we share a YouTube link, and I want to explain this to people, if we share our YouTube link on Facebook, Facebook is not friendly with YouTube. So they hide anything you put on Facebook that's YouTube related. So if I post a video link on my Facebook, it's going to be not very many people are going to see it. And that's why at one point I took one of your videos, your Luke Combs cover, and took the video itself and put it on Facebook instead of putting it, you know, your link, because no one would have saw it. I learned the hard way a long time ago with my other YouTube channel, that if you put YouTube videos on Facebook, Facebook's like, nope, we're gonna hide
take
that.
them down.
We're gonna hide that. No, don't take them down. They just hide them.
Oh yeah.
Where you know, very little of your friends will see it. So.
Yeah. Well, and just to kind of add to what we were talking about, I finally found this thing. I Don't Drink Coffee podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. There's several different things that you can do, and I mean, I would appreciate any kind of feedback. You know,
Any
I mean,
kind.
good or bad. You know, of course, it's nice to hear the good stuff, but the bad stuff helps us figure out what the hell we're doing wrong, so we can do something different. Because I want it to be entertaining.
Right.
You know, I don't want it to suck. And you know, as much as we like to think we know what's cool and what ain't, we can come up with some things that suck. So if somebody would say, dude, that sucks, don't do that anymore, it would help us not do that.
They're gonna be like, next time you go to a hotel and hardcore adult videos is playing, just keep it to yourself. Don't tell that story, because we don't really care about that story, you know.
Well,
but I had to tell it.
I don't think anybody's going to be sad about that. I don't care who you are. That's funny. So if you got a problem with that, that's your problem, I guess.
I Don't Drink Coffee podcast. Episode 3 in the books.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
Have yourself a great day.
Love your body.